That's costing about $12 billion every year. On top of the economic losses, it also releases about 2.6 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a massive problem what we are trying to solve, and we've developed a biotechnology-based solution. Our active packaging activates a defense mechanism within the fruit and vegetable to slow down the ripening rate and then prevent any microbial growth. Those are the two major reasons for spoilage. The fresh produce gets spoiled because of over-ripening, or it gets spoiled because of microbial growth. We control both with single product. So we do that in 3 steps. We identify a specific defense mechanism within the fruit or vegetable, and then we develop a proprietary formulation using nanotechnology and plant extracts and plant polymer. We use data to precisely customize it for each customer request and for each product and crop. So a product comes in a small sachet form, similar to a silica gel packet. So whenever you buy like a leather bag or leather shoes, you find those small silica gel. The product looks very similar to that, that just have to be dropped inside a fruit or vegetable crate, and that releases volatile compounds to extend the shelf life. So we've tested the product with several fruits and vegetables at all room temperature at 35 degrees Celsius, eliminating any need for cold storage in cold supply chain. This is very critical for Indian context because in India, the overall cold storage ecosystem is less than 10%. So the cold storage infrastructure can only hold about 10% of the annual production. So it's very critical to develop the product at room temperature. So we've tested the product at 35 degrees Celsius. On average, we see 40 to 80% increase in shelf life. That's for pomegranates, for figs, and even for tomatoes, we've seen that extending shelf life. Apart from that product functionality, we've also done overall safety testing to prove that the product is safe to consume. So we've done residual analysis and then nutritional analysis showing that there's zero residue of our product on the crop. And then also nutritionally, the use of product does not impact any nutritional in negative way. So both we have tested at Indian laboratories, third-party laboratories, and then we've done validations over a period of 10 to 12 days. So within the farm to fork supply chain, we look at 3 target customer segments. We look at farmers and farmer cooperatives. We look at distributors or middlemen per se. We look at retail and e-commerce players. So within that, primarily right now, we are doubling down more in terms of the e-commerce and farmer cooperatives. As we scale, we'll be looking at other market segments as well. So the value drivers, if you look at, each customer segment has different value drivers, but we bucket it into 3 categories: growth, efficiency, and financial. By extending the shelf life, we can help the customers reach new market. We can increase their bottom line sales. By having good quality crop, they can potentially retain the customers. And then by doing this, they can also have a higher economic gain. Also, by eliminating cold storage and cold supply chain, the overall capex and opex can be also reduced. A product is priced in a way of like a value-based pricing. So based on the value what we create, we price the product. Just taking a user losing about 20% of that, on average, that's costing him $250. So if he decide to spend about $150 by using a product, he can gain back that $250. So for every dollar the customer spends, he can gain upwards of $14. Looking at the overall competitive landscape, we check all the boxes of being cost-effective, easy to adopt, plant-based, and very targeted. In India, there's just one company called Keep It Fresh. Every other company are based out of US and Europe. So we're building a base where it's very complex to build a product, and we've adapted for that ecosystem. We have gone from a single prototype, developing 3 products, currently working with 25 plus customers. And then we've started paid pilots for our product as well. So we started doing paid pilots on tomatoes from last year. We are commercializing towards that. And then we are planning to launch 3 more products by end of next year. So we have several products in pipeline in terms of like fruits and vegetables and floriculture as well. So the team is built by myself and Vijay. I have a master's in food science from US, and then 7 years of research experience specifically in food biotechnology and agriculture. Vijay, as he expressed, he has an operational experience in various social impact fields. So coming to the critical point of like the challenges and opportunities, right? So I just want to bottle it into 3 critical points. So our focus right now is to strengthen our R&D. That's in two parts. One in terms of our biotechnology, and then the other side in terms of the data science to accelerate the R&D. That's one area where it's an opportunity, and also there are several challenges on that. Second one, we are trying to scale up our manufacturing and operations. Like finding the right contract manufacturers and operating with them and setting up the right quality parameters for that. That's been another challenge for us. And the third and critical point for our go-to-market is like we are not able to. I mean, it's challenging for us to prioritize the right product development and then the right customer segments as well. That's to drive our go-to-market strategy. So that's another area where would love to get some support and mentorship on. So yeah, so those are the 3 pointers what I wanted to concentrate on this conversation. So yeah, so to end again, we strongly believe food waste is a preventable problem, and then we are the right solution to move this forward. So yeah, happy to explain anything further, but these are the challenges what we're going through.
Thanks, Deepak and Vijay. So we can have questions from the mentor.
Can I go first?
Sure, Mr. Raj. Sure.
Yeah, hi Deepak. This is I think a very timely and a very appropriate invention, I would say. And I think because I've been working in the field of fresh fruits only, so for last 6 months, so I know what are the challenges and all this. So it is very nice, first of all. Secondly, in fact, I am aware about a few technologies which exist, but those are like, not as much tested. I think, I'm aware about one Ayurvedic solution which gets some kind of coating on the fresh fruits and all, which increase the shelf life of the produce, and they also claim that there is no residue and all that. So I think there have been some more innovations in this regard ever since the pandemic has hit us. Okay, because this is a very major area of concern to eat fresh fruits and all. So are you aware about any such competing products, and how would you like to compete against them and all that? And also I would let me complete another small part of it, that cost price effectiveness also is to be seen. That I think, the other solution is very that Ayurvedic one particularly is very cheap because it is made of these some herbs which are widely available in nature. So if that solution, I don't know, I mean, how effective it is. I've yet to see the lab test reports and all that. But the other solutions, some of these are really cheap. So how would you like to compete against them as well? Yeah.
Yeah, no, see, thanks again. Thanks, Raj. Great to understand your perspective on it. So there are a few things what we feel critical about our product, right? In terms of the science, what we're using a defense mechanism within the fruit and vegetable that helps in extending the shelf life by slowing down the ripening rate. And which is quite different from all the Ayurvedic ingredients what they're using. So Ayurvedic ingredients, what's primarily is like a antimicrobial, and it's not very much proven in terms of antimicrobial. And the edible coating route, we feel it's not a right approach for several reasons. One, the consumer acceptance towards any edible coating, already wax is a huge problem for consumers, right? The consumers are not willing to buy apples with wax and those things. So edible coating route, the consumer acceptance is going to be very critical, and that is one problem. On top of that, the effectiveness of these ingredients is very minimal. Whereas we are taking a different route of attacking a problem from the defense mechanism perspective, which is very similar to a human immune system. So we are attacking from a root cause analysis rather than controlling any exterior or outside areas. So that's one difference what I feel. Apart from that, as I mentioned, the overall approach of sachets is more convenient, and then it's also from a consumer point of view, there's no direct contact. So those are the things what I feel. Cost-wise, I'm not very sure what's the cost in the product what you're discussing about. Whereas our product cost, if you compare it with a cold storage or cold supply chain, is significantly lower. And that's how we look at it. But yeah, I would love to understand what if there's pointers you have. But high level is
Could
what.
you, yeah, sorry, I'm cutting in between. Could you please give me a ballpark figure of the cost?
For us, see, our unit price for 20 kg capacity for tomatoes is about 30 rupees. So if you look at it in a dollar sense, it's less than 20 cents, 20 or less than 30 cents. And if you look at the benefit, what we look at, it's about 8 to 10% of the value what we can create for the customer segment, be it like a farmer or distributor or a retailer. Whatever value we can create, it's about 8 to 10% cut of that.
Okay, so I want to now bring you to the other aspect of the whole thing. I think you have done some kind of product enlistment for the next 1 year, okay? And so may I know what is the basis of your choosing certain products and not choosing them over others?
Sure,
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have two filters, Raj. So one side, we either we pick crops which are high volume, like tomatoes, or we choose crops which are high value. Those are the two filters what we have. Apart from that,
Okay.
we work with customers. So we primarily drive from their interest. So if a customer is requesting for a crop, that's when our development itself starts. Before understanding a proper customer request, we don't start any development. Every product development will involve one or two critical customer segments within that crop, and that's when the development happens. So all the
And
crops.
these customer segments are mainly the contract farmers, or who are these people?
We work with FPOs. That's one segment, and exporters, e-commerce players are also those are early adopters. What we are working with right now.
So people like Big Basket and all.
Yeah, so we work with Big Basket, Ninja Cut, Baycool, and OEJC, those players. And we also work with several FPOs as well.
Okay, how about working directly with some fruit orchard manufacturers? Like, for example, this apple. Apple is a high value crop also, okay? And apple the whole, I think, entire production of apple in India is saturated in only one state mostly, that is Himachal. Okay, the other states like J&K and Uttarakhand are also small players. But I think, so what I mean to tell you is that, once you start kind of concentrating on one geographical area, like for example Himachal, you will be doing a lot of, I think, significant dent over there, both in terms of the impact on these fruit quality and everything. But secondly, what is happening is that, because I'm telling you about Shimla, because I know there are huge logistical challenges to bring the fresh produce from there to the these areas which are non-hilly areas, like for example Delhi. So a truck traveling from Shimla, it reaches Delhi sometimes in 2 days. That kind of situation is also there, and once it is in Delhi, then it can actually travel. So mostly because of these logistical challenges, most of these fruits are actually also spoiling. And secondly, in fact, I know, because I'm talking particularly about the apples for you, because I know that there have been some sprays also in the apple crop right from the beginning. But still, those are not very, kind of effective in terms of containing the pests, attacks, and all those kind of things. So, how do you react to this whole thing?
Yeah.
As I told you, yeah.
Yeah, again, great point, Raj. So I think the challenge where with apples is apples controlled atmosphere storage is very well established. And major suppliers in North like in Jammu and Kashmir or Himachal, they've been storing apples for, let's say, 7 to 8 months. So the ecosystem need in particular use cases like what you said, transport to Delhi, or if there's any disruption into their supply chain, at those points there is a need for a product, but we're not sure if the need is there throughout the year. We're looking for opportunities where we cover the complete ecosystem within that crop. So let's say for a crop like figs, we can integrate end to end because the demand is so high on that. So those are the areas where we are choosing. Apples is definitely an interest area for us, but I think we need to understand more about that crop, what value add we can do, If we can completely eliminate the controlled atmosphere and then eliminate cold storage, then we are adding huge value to it. So we need to evaluate those things, and that's how we want to proceed
Sure.
further.
Similarly, I can give you another suggestion for pomegranate. Pomegranate from Maharashtra. I think in these two crops, apple and pomo, I think, we also don't have any organic certified products. Not much. I mean, I've yet to hear if there are any one or two stray orchards maybe here and there. But so organic fruits, if somebody has to eat, I think these are not the options because of all these pests and all these frequent attacks, So these are perennial problems in these two fruits, and these two fruits are very big ones, like in terms of volume, in terms of, I think, the longevity of the season. I think apple season is lasts for almost like 6 months, and pomo season also lasts for almost the same time, if not less or more. So these are these two
I
fruits.
just want to step in here. We do have 15 minutes left, and we want to give other people a
All right.
chance. So I'm going to
Okay.
give that to Maya.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
No problem.
please, like
So-
maybe you two can make a chat afterwards as well, because these are really good details.
Yes, so I would ask Ashna to put me in touch with this gentleman, and then maybe we can discuss more about
Sure.
it. So I'm done. Okay,
Sure.
thank you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Maya. Thanks.
Yeah, so just a couple of points, touching on a little bit of what Raj talked about, but I think more specifically to me, I think what's interesting is for you to really figure out who is your customer segment. When I looked at kind of your plan, your strategic plan and your use of funds, to me, honestly, it seemed like it was inverted. You talked about doing more R&D and then building up your manufacturing capabilities and then identifying your customer segment. For me, I would actually go the other way around. You have something right now that is your minimum viable product. Before even thinking about how much and where you need to manufacture, you need to figure out who resonates most with that product, right? Because farmers care about some things very differently than FPOs do, than Big Basket does. For Big Basket, saying that you're going to be able to replace cold storage may or may not have significant value. For farmers, it definitely does. But Big Basket has a very different way of pricing, obviously, and has very different price concerns than farmers do. And then finally, it's really about thinking about who are you substituting what for. For a farmer, you possibly aren't even substituting. This is not even a substitute product. They don't have anything that they're using right now to address this problem. And so while you are going to be able to make a case around increased income because they're losing less crop to wastage, that's still kind of a forward-looking claim, versus a Big Basket where you are saying that, I can reduce your energy costs, I can reduce your cold storage costs. So immediately it's 30 rupees versus that. So for a farmer, anytime you're selling anything to a farmer, if it's a new cost, something that they don't have a line item for that, they didn't already have, expenditure planned against that. How you make that argument, I think, is really critical. Then for me, again, so as I said, really think about who you're selling it to, and customizing or contextualizing both the product and the business model for that customer, I think, is important. At this point of time, I feel like it's too early in your too early stage to say that I'm going to be selling to all of them. There is one that you start by selling to, and then you move to a point as a startup where it's not an or consideration, it's an and consideration. I sell to so-and-so and someone else and someone else, and I have the capability to do that. And then I think a large point to really talk about is, and I don't know how you're addressing this right now, what you're talking about is putting something on the crop, right? For anyone, I think that's a concern, right? Unless I really have a good sense of your credibility and the, sort of the efficacy, not just the efficacy, but really the safety of your sort of input material. It's a question of, do I take a chance and do something that might result in less wastage, or might just completely decimate my entire season's crop and all of my livelihood for this like 3 months or 6 months? Or do I just keep going with status quo? So how you present that that argument, how you present your credibility, how you present kind of the safety qualities of your product, I think are going to be very important.
Great points, Maya. No, really appreciate that. I think you're pointing out on the customer segment is valuable for us. And also the safety, we've done few things, but you're right that the communication has to be more deeper. We definitely understand that. So would love to, if there's a possibility to double down on that one-on-one later, would love to do that more deep dive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maya. Kushal, do you have any questions, or anybody else has any suggestions or questions?
So Deepak, looks like a great idea, but I am not able to see the the business aspect of it, because I wanted to see a, let's say, 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, like how would you like to increase your sales. And I totally agree with Matt, and you need to start with the customer. And that's a missing point. And there are other players in this segment as well, which increase, though they have a different technology, but the purpose is same, that they increase the shelf life. Ultimately serves the purpose. So how are you going to tackle these competitors? So that is also one of the challenge.
Sure. No, I think if you're referring to competitors in India with respect to cold storage, we are adding as a complementary to them. So we already work with several cold storage companies who can be a potential competitor, but we work with them to minimize their thermal load. So we work with TAN90, we work with Ecozen, Bring. These are several cold storage companies. We're working with them. Apart from that, cost-effective solutions are very, very minimal. Ethylene absorber is the other competition what we have in India. And we fairly fight against them in terms of providing the right value. But would love to understand if you could let me know exactly what segment of competitors you're referring to, and yeah.
So there was one entrepreneur from Bihar, I guess, by the name of startup like Sabji Kothi, I guess, and then he mentioned that the shelf life, it can be increased by 30 days. It's a different technology, but yeah, it helps. It helps
I'm
farmer.
with that. They're having environment like evaporative cooling. So I think we potentially have more convenience with that. And then during transport and move and during transport and storage and those things, that's where we can add value. They are considering more in terms of the farm level storage. So we are in terms of from farm to fork, but they are looking more in terms of on-farm storage kind of solution. So I think that's the different proposition what we have. But yeah, great point. Would love to. Yeah.
Okay, Deepak, you're talking about Sept Krishi, right? Nikki Jha, who's the founder. So they actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to ensure we're talking about the same startup.
So I think the one where they have Sabji Cooler, right? Is that the one are you referring to?
No, I think it's called Sabji Kothi only, what Kushal said. The name of the startup is actually Sept Krishi. Yeah, because they're not doing on-farm storage. They're actually doing cold storage, or they're maintaining or controlling the micro environment, climatic environment inside the storage unit for logistics only, like for, maybe vegetable sellers, small vegetable sellers, like that.
Sure. Probably I'm referring to a different company called Sabji Cooler. So I'll look into that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll share the link with you. Anybody else has any questions or remarks for Deepak and Vijay?
I have some questions. Oh, yeah, I got a question basically, Ashna. So I wanted to say that I think a lot of people have been focusing on, the fact that who are you going to sell to? What does your market look like? So my question was actually, have you sold to anyone yet? Could you start selling today or next week? And if you did, what's your current capacity? Like how many units could you sell because that could help to provide some data going forward.
Yeah, so I think I'll give a brief and then Vijay can take it on. So currently we are running paid pilots. So we're working with about 10 customers doing paid pilots. That's in the volume of like 500 kgs to 1 ton per customer. And then we have like requests for about 3 to 4 tons with 3 more customers coming up. With our current manufacturing setup, we can supply for about 200 tons per day. That's the scale where we can hit. And we are doing paid pilots. The reason being doing paid pilots is, one, we are validating the customers are willing to pay for even a early stage product. And then by not doing like a large scale up immediately, we're validating at different locations. So we're doing our paid pilots at various geographics and with the 2 different customer segments, one on the FPOs and the other one is the e-commerce players. So both segments we are validating with paid pilots. And we are understanding what are the use cases where people are willing to pay for those use cases. So that's what we are validating. And we will be commercializing in September. That's where we're heading towards. But yeah, this is the state where we are. Vijay, if you want to add something to it, maybe you can add.
I think you pretty much summed it up. Yeah. Yeah, scaling is not a problem, Amanda. We just need to increase the capacity. So we pretty much working towards a process where we can scale up. So we in fact did the last 3 months putting a lot of efforts from going from a traditional manufacturing to a more sophisticated manufacturing process.
I think that's interesting. I want to ask some of the mentors, maybe if they think there's anything that, do you think that we should talk about the pilot in the slide decks or anything like that? Maybe perhaps to Maya or to any of the mentors here. Just wanted to see if they think that's something that should be added in some form or another.
Yeah, I think it should, because again, it goes to, sorry, I just realized that I still have my hand up, which I will take down now. But it just goes to the question around the business model, right? Until that's proven out, the fact, as someone else was saying, that there are people who are paying for this at some price. I don't even have a sense of who that first customer is. The other thing that I will call out is what I've seen again and again, which is, your first customer is not necessarily going to be a beachhead. So it's an interesting learning point, but it's still, I would still urge you to have kind of do that analysis and have that conversation around, these are the 3 types of customers. Here is who I've had one paid pilot with. Just because there's initial traction there, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the best customer to go with.
A valid point, Maya. So I think our thought process and thesis around it is like, as we scale, we understand what value we create with them. The paid pilot is one, but we are assessing different data points toward the supply chain. We evaluate the supply chain from the farm level to consumers, be it a farmer FPO or a B2B customer. We understand the supply chain, and through the supply chain, we see what value we create. It's not just the paying side, but also exactly which point do we add value. And that mapping with the paid version, we feel we'll be able to reach a beachhead market. But yeah, so more.
I think what you're doing is great and very valuable and very important. The insights that you're getting are going to feed into the product development. And the next step from that is what I'm suggesting, which is having those additional experiments, pilots, and sales where the insights lead into your business model. And I think those are, the business model is very, it's broad, it's all encompassing, but those are 2 very distinct processes. Just having having a great product is unfortunately not sufficient to having a great business model and a great sales process and a great value proposition and articulating that.
I have one follow-up question to ask, which is about the piloting. Have you done any kind of piloting anywhere?
Yeah, so for the last 6 months, we've been doing pilots with about 25 customers. And this August alone, we've started paid pilots with 10 customers.
All right. So So can you also make a slider of this POC? Now, if you have a POC that exists, so I think it is good that you should include that.
Sure,
What have been your learning? What have been the takeaway for you, as well as for what has been the customer feedback, both? Okay.
Sure, we'll include that, Raj, for sure. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
We do have, it looks like about 2 more minutes for any kind of comments that folks might have.
Vijay and Deepak, you can also refer to the link, feedback link that Amanda has posted, where we've put in some notes as well.
Definitely. Thanks, Ashna.
Yep, I just put the questions there. So it sounds like we're pretty excited about the actual technology. You guys have pictures to show that it kind of works. You have a little scientific study. I made a few suggestions on that. You should add a couple of the main bullet points from the study onto that actual slide so that we know what the study is actually saying. Then we want you guys to get into the market. We want you to get going. Maybe you don't need to scale up your manufacturing before you get your sales out. I'm not sure. Especially if you've been talking with some FPOs and that's one of your biggest channels, it would be interesting to know what you've been hearing from them or how many FPOs you are in partnership with, to put that in there. Because obviously this is something that needs to go across the world. And also something you can add to your competitor slides is, you think, or you say it's a USP, and I hope it is, but you didn't put anything about the different temperatures. You said, oh, it's developed in India. I don't care where it's developed. If it works for my company and it's cheap, I'm going to use it. So we don't really care that it's developed in India. What we care is something else you might have mentioned, which may or may not be true, is if it helps protect the fruits and vegetables at the high temperatures that we're facing in India, and we'll be facing more and more across different parts of the world. So that's cool. And also what would be great is, as you've proven that your product works, maybe you can prove that your product works better. Maybe you can do some of those head-to-head competitions with some of your competitors, get their products, test them out in the India sun and see that it really works better, because you're telling me it does and I don't know. So just kind of about the building the trust thing, some more of that stuff. That was some summary. I wonder if anybody else had any points to share in the summary.
I think you summed it up pretty nicely.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like a really exciting company. There's obviously always work to do. I had one other question for you guys. You said you had two team members. Do you actually have more than 2 team members, or only 2 team members?
Yeah, so
two main team members.
Yeah, so the founding team is just myself and Vijay. Apart from that, we have 5 more team members. So we have 2 R&D scientists and 2, so 1 R&D director, 1 R&D scientist, and then 2 operation engineers and few interns.
Maybe you want to put their pictures on the slide as well, because it shows that you a little bit further. Because you guys can have your 2 pictures like bigger, maybe on the side, and then you can have like 5 other smaller pictures that just says their name and what they do, because then your team will look more built up, and less like you just started, which obviously you guys have been working for a while, but that could be interesting and quick to add.
Sure.
Definitely. Sounds good.
Those are my points. So I don't know if maybe we should transition, Ashna.
Yeah, I think we can.
So you guys are welcome to stay on for the next call as well. If you're busy or traveling, you're welcome to jump. We do hope that the mentors will join us for the next call.
Sure. Thank you so much, guys. Jump off. I'm actually traveling, so really appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for the feedback as well. Look forward to having more conversations. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks, Vijay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
So next we have our next entrepreneur as well on the call now, Vinod from St. Jude Herbal. Hi, Vinod.
Ashna, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible. So you must have gotten a gist of what was happening in the previous mentorship call. So how we'll go is we'll quickly, Amanda, should we do introductions again? Quick introductions.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Let's like we're still kind of getting used to this. I think that entrepreneurs should join for the whole call, and we should maybe make that clearer in our invitations, because I think they learn a lot from the first call. They get a lot of context, and then we don't have to do introductions twice. So I will make that clearer in the invitations that go out from now on. And we could do, yeah, I think we can we can do it again because it's important for Vinoj, and we can just do it really quickly of the mentors who are here. So Vinoj, you know me, you know Ashna. Maybe we can do again. That will be Maya, Rajani, Kushal, Rebecca. Is there a mentor that I missed?
No.
Okay,
I think you covered. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think Maya has to leave shortly, so Maya can go first.
Hi Vinod, good to meet you. I'm a co-founder of Green Eartha, climate investment and innovation firm. We also do the fund management for the ACT Environment Fund, which is a venture philanthropy fund focused on 4 areas of climate catalytic capital: air quality, water security, waste and circular economy, and land use and restoration. In addition to that, Green Eartha's other work within the climate space includes working with early stage innovators to help them mainstream their innovations, and also building the ecosystem through creating networks and collaborations.
Thanks, Maya. Mr. Raj, would you like to go next?
So hi, Vinod Raj. So I'm just Raj. So I am a social entrepreneur working with social enterprises and mentoring young startups. I've been working with these farmers and farmer producer organizations for about 10 years now. Prior to that, I've got 15 years of experience of working with non-farm sector also. So this is small introduction about me, and I look forward to hearing you more. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. Rebecca, Dr. Rebecca. You're on mute.
Okay, hello.
We can't hear you. I think our network's bad. Maybe Kushal, you can introduce yourself, and I'll just message Dr.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now. Hello. Kushal, why don't you go ahead? I'll just message Rebecca, Dr. Rebecca.
Hi Vinod, this side Kushal. So I'm also an entrepreneur like you, and I'm a co-founder of Pashushalla.com, which is into livestock trading. So I bring 10 plus years of work ex, mainly in the field of corporate strategy, and worked in different industries, but mainly into agri and agri-related services. So I am also mentoring some startups from IIT Bombay as well. So hope I would be able to contribute to you in some way.
Thanks, Kushal. Vinod, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself and pull up your slides, and then you can start your presentation.
Sure. I'm just sharing my screen. Please let me know once it's visible.
Yes, it's full screen. Looks great.
Hello everyone, I'm Vinod Raj. I'm a systems biologist and I'm an agri entrepreneur. We have been St. Jude's is a 5-year-old agri deep tech startup based in Kasaragod, Kerala. I hope I can start my presentation, right?
Yes, I'd want to see if you can move, if you've got a microphone that's on your headphones, if you can move it a little closer to your mouth, maybe.
Okay. I'm audible now. Is it clear?
I mean, you're audible, but can you hold it a little closer to your mouth? It kind of, and also I can't tell after 1 or 2 words. So just do that and keep going, and hopefully it'll work out.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I was saying that St. Jude's is an agri-deep tech startup. We are based in Kasaragod, Kerala, and we offer one-stop solution for all plant diseases. Plant diseases cause around $22 billion worth of crop loss every year and is considered as a threat to food security. And what's more threatening about this plant disease because it not only affects the yield, but it also affects the plant. It can also kill the plant as compared to the pests. And the supposed solution for these problems are fungicides, but as we know, it's basically a cidal formulation. And it causes problems to everything from soil to air, and the approach itself is wrong because in this case, we are trying to create a barrier or a wall around the plant so that the pathogen can't reach the plant. So it's like wearing a PPE kit, which we know is temporary. But farmer has no choice because he has to use fungicides to protect his crop, even though it's hard to use, toxic, it's not cost effective, all of that, but he still have to use it anyway. So we are introducing a solution that works like the medicine we consume and makes plant capable of fighting the disease. This is basically defense priming, where we make plant capable of defending itself by activating its systemic acquired resistance, a kind of plant immunity, and retaining it in such a way that the plant becomes capable of fighting the pathogen. The formulation that we use to make this is purely herbal formulation. It's purely phytochemicals that we extract from herbs. It's proven safe and toxicologically tested to be safe even if someone was to drink it. It costs 50% less than the current alternatives, and it is also said to increase the yield by up to 30%. So it contains around 42 active biological ingredients, all of that extracted from herbs, and it works in a 5-fold pathway to activate systemic resistance in plants. The very first thing is it contains plant elicitors. It's a kind of plant vaccine which activates the systemic response. It activates two important plant protection, the immune systems of plant called two salicylic acid signaling and jasminic acid pathway. Both of these induces resistance towards biotropic and necrotropic pathogen. Biotropic in the sense they only attack plants and feed on their yield, that doesn't kill the plant. In case of necrotropic, it kills the plant. Our product works on both of them. And also it makes plant anti-quorum sensing and anti-biofilm. Quorum sensing is a kind of communication between the bacteria. That's a communication that bacteria use once it's inside the pathogen. I'm sorry, inside a host. And biofilm is a colony that they create once it gets inside a host. So it makes plant produce secondary metabolites that is anti-quorum sensing and anti-biofilm. And also it inhibits the replication of pathogen through same way by making plant produce that secondary metabolites. And it also contains plant hormones and metabolites that accelerates the growth and increases the. So what makes us different from current alternatives? I'll point out the main points. The first thing is we can cure plant disease, which is not usually possible by any of the current alternatives. And also it increases the yield as we are physiologically influencing the plant and making it stronger. It increases the yield. Adoption is easy because usually what farmer has to do is he has to apply fungicide, he has to spray it, and there is a lot of risk factor associated with it. That is, even if it rains or if there is strong wind, all of this affects this application. But in our case, the product has to be diluted and applied to the root of the plant. After the application, if it doesn't rain for 3 hours, then there is no need to worry for a farmer, because even after, if there is rain or wind, it doesn't matter because the product would have been absorbed by the plant, and yeah, it works better than the current alternatives. And also, the main thing is there is no disease-based division. Currently, what farmer has to do is he has to use different fungicides for different diseases. But in our case, as we are targeting plant, not the pathogen, our product is enough for all the plant diseases. The market opportunity is quite huge considering that it's directly connected to the food consumption of the country, and it's going at a good pace in India, because still the fungicide consumption per hectare fungicide consumption in India is less than the world average. And also the key market strategy calls for biofungicide with no environment footprint. That kind of exactly matches the description of our product. Current progress, we currently are in the market. We currently deal with plantation crops in selected districts in Karnataka and Kerala. We have an average monthly revenue of 1.25 lakhs. And we are considered as the most promising agri startup by NABARD, finalists of the National Startup Awards, winners of the National Youth Awards as well. What I want to stress here is that our advertising to revenue ratio was just 3.1%, and we have a year-on-year growth compared to last year is 140%. And yeah, we are supported by Land Access, that's why, yeah, and we are supported by Manus Labs, Kerala Startup Mission, a lot of institutions throughout India sharing our common goal of making agriculture sustainable. Our business model is we basically run on 4 revenue channels, the traditional channels where we use dealers and distributors, which are currently in the market, because as farmers likes to deal with person he can see more than an entity, we deal directly with dealers and distributors, and most of our dealers have to mention our FPOs and the farmer cooperatives currently. And we also do direct sales where a farmer can call us directly. We deliver it to his food truck through, we also offer cash delivery, and we offer customized advisory. And we are also active on around 4 e-commerces, and we are looking to onboard around 25 plus agri-focused e-commerces in India. And affiliates is something that we have been working on for a while now. It's basically we are trying to make an entrepreneur, in the sense a rural entrepreneur in every villages who could act as a champion for us, as someone who promote our product. I'll explain on that as we move ahead. So the customer acquisition mainly deals with our revenue channels. It revolves around the revenue channels. If we are selling through resellers of viewers, we usually promote it where he is debated through model plots, local magazines, seminars, all of that. And direct sales, we are following something called decision cycle based advisory, where once a farmer calls us, we enter his details on a ERP, and once based on his crop and the age of his crops and where he is situated, we offer him customized advisory, so that to build that trust between us and the farmer. And on e-commerce, we usually do the on-platform of e-commerce. The team, our core team consists of 4 of us. The team consists of Dr. Hajit Fish, he's the main founder, and he leads the product development. We have Manoj Raj, he leads marketing analytics. Mamta Jasman, he's leading the manufacturing, and I look after technology and customer relations. Future, currently, as I mentioned, we are in Karnataka and Kerala. Our next target market is Chhattisgarh and Punjab. And as we are working on a product that is specifically for potatoes, it's specifically for late blight, if I have to say. It's a main disease that has been troubling farmers for a while now. And also the farmers who used our product reported that the product was not only stopping the plant disease, but it was also effective against insects as well. Theoretically, it has to be right, but we are currently doing trials to understand how that works. And also, one more problem that we identified in the market is that usually how farmers spray fungicide is that he follow calendar year. And it's not always accurate, because in this year is a perfect example, because in Karnataka, the rain was delayed, but the farmers started spraying fungicide because it was already June. They had to spray, but without rain, without that humidity, there was no chance of plants getting plant disease, because it was not time. It was not the right weather for that particular pathogen to start infecting the plant. So we are developing this AI-based plant disease forecast module, which considers whether based on weather factors, it predicts the plant disease in the area. And also, as I mentioned, as I was speaking earlier, the affiliate network. So for the development of an affiliate network, we had reached out to CSC, the Common Service Center of the Ministry of Electronics, and we are working with them to onboard all their. That's currently specifically at Chhattisgarh as a pilot project. We are looking to onboard their rural entrepreneurs, the one who run CSC stops, as our affiliates. So the main objective from the mentors, that what I say is that the problem that we currently face in business expansion is onboarding dealers and distributors, because it requires a lot of human resource, as it's how it's completely done by the current competitors. So the main thing that I'm seeking from the vendors is help and guidance in business expansion in this sector. Thank you.
Thanks, Manoj. Can you just go back to your challenges slide once more, so that people can have a look? Okay, so the biggest one you mentioned is onboarding dealers and distributors, as that's how it's been done. It's done traditionally in India, and you lack the manpower to do it, actually. Yes. And the second one was?
Yeah, that was the main thing. I mean, while competing with larger names in fungicide industry, onboarding and maintaining the dealers, the network requires a lot of human resource, which we can't afford right now. So I was seeking guidance for that.
Okay, and currently, are you fundraising? Like, do you need funds right now?
Yeah, we are not currently fundraising. We are bootstrapped. We were bootstrapped, and we are running on grants, but we are not currently fundraising, but we are looking to raise fund by the end of this year.
Okay, and what would the use of funds look like?
For the expansion itself. So as I was saying, okay, the December and January area is an off-season month for us. That's why we're working on potato. So once we can launch that product, we'd be looking to fundraise for expansion.
Okay. Thanks, Manoj. I would like to open the questions. I would like to open the floor for questions from the mentor. Kushal, I see you've unmuted yourself.
Thanks, Ashna. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting concept. You also mentioned, so I work in this crop protection industry, so I understand, they have a lobby and it's very difficult to penetrate and the competition would be challenging. And you also founded a solution, like you suggested that it would be a micro entrepreneur driven model. So I just wanted to understand in detail, how would you like to implement that and how would you like to, expand across geographies?
Right. So what we are currently doing is we are currently in process of implementation using CSC entrepreneurs. These are guys that who usually deliver government services to the villagers, and we are building this platform where they can onboard farmers directly on our platform, which would in turn give farmers directly the advisory as well as access to the products. And also we were thinking of onboarding other startups as well to offer a entire bundle of services that would be required for a farmer. So the micro entrepreneur that I was mentioning is entirely through the CSCs entrepreneurs, the common service centers entrepreneurs.
Okay. But what would be the business model? How would what would motivate them to be a part of your startup?
Right. Actually, the start of this partnership was that we presented directly to the CSC entrepreneurs, and they in turn came interested in us because they have been looking for a venue of doing business other than what they are actually doing now, and these are some problems that they have seen the villagers face. So we are offering a solution that they can address. It will be a income channel for them while also addressing the problems that the villagers are currently facing. So that's how it works, and the model is simple. Usually, what happens is they will directly connect the farmers with us and place orders however they wish. I mean, they place orders directly for the farmers, and we deal directly with the farmers, and the micro entrepreneurs get their incentives after the sale is happening.
Yes, so I have worked on a similar model, micro entrepreneur development. But one of the challenges what we face is that they're not motivated enough, because it's a variable income, right? It would be a percentage of sales, right? So do you have any plans, to tackle such challenges?
So currently, as we are in the implementation mode, we haven't faced that challenge till now. But the idea here was to move ahead with the usual method of marketing that we follow, that is targeted marketing, where our retailer or the person who is influencing is situated, maybe through seminars, or bringing in different speakers, doing advertising targeted as to where they are based. So that was how we were planning on, but as we are still in the implementation stage, we haven't faced that challenge yet. So.
Yeah, and one more question. Like I really like some of your decisions. Like you wanted to expand, in Punjab, Chandigarh, and then taken potatoes as your first priority. So yes, you are definitely going to compete with the mancozeb, as a fungicide. So. Yeah. So how are you going to deal with the competition? Because it's a huge lobby. Yeah.
Right.
Did you get the question, Manoj? Because I didn't get Kushal's question. I think the network was interrupted.
Yeah, I had a small part of it, but I understand what he's trying to convey. So,
okay.
We are supported by Punjab Agriculture University and the Punjab Agribusiness Incubators, and we have connects with FPOs in the Punjab area. Currently, I'm in talks with FPOs, and we are also running trials through that FPO network itself. So the way we are trying to enter Punjab is through FPO network alone, and also our product is organic, and we have that organic certification. And in that case, it's easy for us to connect with those organic buyers where this competition is less.
Kushal, anything else? Any questions or any suggestions?
Thanks, Vinod. Understood the concept, and yeah, best of luck. It's a huge market, and I wish you, and we can connect. If you want more inputs, then we can connect one-on-one if you require.
Sure. Thank you so much for the inputs, and I'd like to connect further to discuss on the micro entrepreneurship that I was mentioning.
Sure.
Thanks, Kushal. I think Raj is also ready.
Yeah, so Vijay, this is a very interesting concept of yours, which is definitely, I think, is the need of the hour. Can you tell me something more about this? First of all, your immediate competitor is, I think, some biosolutions. Can you please put on that chart, the competitor chart? I think there were four segments, no? Four competitor segments. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So plantopathy is something which I'm not from this field, so pardon me my limited knowledge in this. So this is looking really interesting, but there are already these biocontrol agents in the market, okay? And I think almost, if I can see your table where you honestly put all these parameters, so I think they're competing very well with you, isn't it? And they are already there. They have a brand name. They are supported by the big MNCs actually. So how are you planning to compete them?
Right. The main limitation of biocontrol agent is that it doesn't work on all the plants. It is currently used for specific diseases in specific plants, and we don't have products for the crops that we are currently getting to. In case, as I mentioned, potatoes or arecanut or any crops that we are getting to, there is no biocontrol agents.
All right. And, so you already identified your niche. You mean to say that, huh?
Yes.
In terms of the product, huh? All right. Very nice. Okay. So this is good. The second thing is about your business model. Can you now bring me to the business model? Yeah. So here, would you like to kind of, tell me more about this? I think, cost structure. This is in terms of what? Like, this is your cost structure, or like, can you please explain it to me?
So cost structure is our cost structure in the sense that what cost would be incurred by us while getting this product to the farm.
But you may have built all these costs into your pricing, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So are you having any challenges on this cost structure, or what? Like, no, this is just for this information that all these are the costs and you've taken care of all these. You've taken into account all of this. Yes. So are you kind of competitive in your pricing with regard to your competitors?
Yes, in respect to cost structures, we don't have any issues with that. Even after considering all the costs and also the incentives, we are still up to 50% cost effective compared to the current alternatives. One of the main point in there is that in case of large crops that we cater to, the arecanut, coconut, in that sense, the farmers has to spray these fungicides earlier to the head of these plants, which are quite high. It incurs a lot of manpower and a lot of money is required to do that. But in our case, as it's applied to the root, it has much more cost effectiveness. All right. If I was to calculate the application charges as well. So
one more follow-up question after this is that how are you communicating your cost effectiveness or your product effectiveness and all that? Do you have a teaser? Have you got any technical pager, one pager or something to circulate, or how are you doing it?
So currently, that's a really important point, sir, because that's something that we had a problem with earlier, because convincing a farmer that he has to leave something that he has been doing for quite a while and use something that he hasn't heard of was really hard for us. But now what we do is we usually conduct seminars in the place where our research is situated, and we bring in experts from different institutions, not only from us, but from different institutions to speak about this defense farming and in the entire concept of what we are doing. So that was how we were convincing farmers.
Yeah, so as I think there is Dr. Naga when he is also put up this question, how different it is. I think this is very important for you to make it very, easy to decipher, I think there's a lot of technical details that you also presented to us, but it is not in the form that one can actually, kind of assimilate that kind of knowledge. So this is a challenge for you, isn't it? And I think, another right channel for you would be that you should actually go to these agro newspapers, this media. So this media, there are a lot of these regional newspapers which cater to farmers' needs, and there are a lot of these companies that agro input companies which also I think advertise through them. So I think that kind of channel that that kind of tool can actually make wonders for you. For example, if you are doing it in Punjab, so you can actually put it in a Punjabi ad, for that potato growers in a regional newspaper of that thing, So I think this can actually work wonders. And then what you can also do, you can go to the biggest mandis, of all these things, and thereby you can actually deliver some kind of lectures in the local language and all that to win over because I think that your product is technical product. Okay, your product needs a proper communication strategy, not only a medium but also a communication strategy. Okay, so if you decipher this, you are in the game, because I can see that in spite of having a beautiful product in your hand, you have, I think, your sales are just 1.225 per lakh per month, isn't it? So I think there you have a challenge to, I think, grow to the next stage. So this is where I'm thinking that you need some kind of mentorship or something, isn't it? All right. One more thing, one more last point. I think you mentioned about one AI-based disease warning system that you are going to introduce. What is that? Can you please elaborate a bit about about that?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the application was an issue that we faced once we were in the market, because farmers were asking the calendar year, the dates when they should apply our product as well. But that's not how it usually works in case of plant disease, because it depends on lots of factors. So we currently are working with this where we get the weather data of that particular area and see whether that particular place had weather for in case of late blight, it need humidity above 95% for 7 weeks for that particular pathogen start infecting. So
right.
we check that weather data and see provide them information as to whether it's whether there is risk of getting plant disease and whether it's the right time to apply.
So one small resource for you is that you should actually get in touch with Vadhwani Foundation of AI in Bombay. Where are you based at?
Kerala, sir.
Kerala. Okay. So there is one similar experiment that they've done for the cotton crops through AI very successfully, and I think they won the first prize worldwide for that social impact through that cotton crop, using AI. So I think this is something that you should read more about it, and then if you want any kind of linkages, I can establish for you. Okay.
Sure, sir. I'd like to connect with you offline as well to discuss more.
All right. So that's all from my end. I think it is very, very good. And I think you actually mastered it in various ways and slides. I think I don't have any other comments. Yeah, all the best.
Thanks, Raj. I have a few comments, and actually on the same lines, on what Raj was saying. That since there's so many players in the market, it's kind of hard to penetrate because it is a volume business. So you do need a very strong go-to-market strategy, or customer outreach on how you want to identify what works best for you and go with that. One question I had on the business model slide is under e-commerce, you mentioned digital marketing, blog, and emailers. So have you identified who the target audience is going to be for these, for this blog or emailers? Because, if you're looking to onboard dealers and distributors, so do they, would it be the right channel to reach them?
So e-commerce is for direct sales. Actually, it's directly for the farmers, and all those blogs and emailers are intended for those guys who purchase from the e-commerce.
Vinod, we can't hear you properly. You can turn your video off. I think there's some problem. Network is weak.
Am I audible now?
Yes, better.
Right. So I was mentioning that the blog and emails that I have mentioned is for the buyers itself, the guys who buy from e-commerces. So in case of our website also, we can get those data of people who come to the checkout page and leave from there. So after getting that email, we offer them, we send me emails at specific intervals, asking them why did they give back, or would they be interested in getting an offer, and such kind of emails usually used in e-commerce. So it's targeted for those consumers who buy from e-commerce.
So what is the persona of these consumers? Like these are direct, like these are farmers, or
these are large landlords, those who own lands. So the target crops that we are targeting are plantation crops, and in that case, there are a lot of landlords who own large set of lands, and that's
okay.
Maintenance. The person is sitting somewhere else. So those target.
Okay, so you've actually deployed these strategies, and this has worked for you.
No, it's not entirely deployed. I would say it's not entirely deployed. I mean, we currently are only active in 4 e-commerces and our own website, but it's in process. I mean, we are in process of start selling our products in around 25 other e-commerces, agri-focused e-commerces in India. So yeah, it's work in progress.
Okay, got it. So the other thing, I just, on your slides, like Raj also pointed out, you want to avoid using jargons and, keep it simple and less wordy, include more visuals if you can to, explain maybe your business model or in other slides as well. Also, I'm just checking my notes. And also while pitching, like of course, customize your pitch as per the target audience you're pitching to. And you were talking very fast throughout your, entire pitch. So you want to go slowly and, identify what you want to highlight in your slides. So that's it from my side. I'll pass it on to Amanda or anybody else in the audience.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the feedback. I'll keep that in mind.
So I have one input here. Vinod, could you go back to the competition slide, please? So I just wanted to know what percentage of these 4 different types, what are there, how much percentage like what percentage of the market they cover basically?
Okay, so in this case, the market is mainly led by chemical fungicides itself, and the biodegradable fungicides and biocontrol agents are available only.
So I think that would be around more than 90 to 95%. Am I correct?
Yes. True.
Yeah. See, despite so many disadvantages, it covers around 90 to 95%, and that would be a challenge. So I would like you to come up with a strategy so that how would you pitch your product, like and maybe you will have some competitors in the plantopathy segment as well, right?
In plantopathy segment, no, we don't have competitors. We have that's a trade secret actually. We don't even have a patent for that. I mean, we do have a patent, but it doesn't contain the actual formulation that we use. So it's a trade secret, and we are the only ones working. So there is no product currently in the market that works as our product.
Okay, so that's great. So basically, but your main challenge would be to tackle these chemical fungicide companies, right?
Right.
So yeah, and they have a huge lobby so because I worked in the crop production market, so I understand that. So maybe you need to come up with the like you mentioned somewhere like digital marketing and e-commerce. So maybe you can use those platforms instead of approaching the dealers, or because they have been doing the businesses with these companies for last 10-20 years. So it's very difficult to penetrate there. So basically, I think different channels would be really useful, and I think that will improve your sales. And one more suggestion that you also mentioned that you are going to come up with that app-based, So, but there are some players who have such solutions, weather-driven, disease detector and crop yield, etc. So maybe you can, do a deep dive and then come up with a better decision.
Sure. I'll look at that. Thanks.
One Kushal, on the Kushal's question, I think I can also suggest one very good thing, because you just said that you have an organic solution. Is that so? Certified organic. Yes. All right. So I don't think so that any of these other three people can claim it that they are organic. Okay. So you have a huge plus or huge edge over your competitors, that your solution is organic. So there is a huge market of organic veggies and fruits available out there, and it is growing, I think, more than 20-25% YOY. Okay. So I think this can be one big segment for you to cater to.
Thank you so much.
Organic.
Yeah,
organic fruits and veggies, and in particular, I think this itself is a big one. FFV we call it, fresh fruits and vegetables, organic. So I think there you can actually make inroads, definitely.
Yes, to add to your points, Raj. So it's interesting that it's an organic product, and there is a different customer. But it's really hard, to crack those farmers like who have been using these, traditional products. So it's one of the challenges you will face to convince them to use, organic products or better products. But yeah, but that's how you're into this market, and you will. I am sure that you will handle it.
So also, what usually when we are selecting a crop, what we usually do is we look for plant diseases that are not solved correctly. Even though there are lots of chemical fungicides, there are a lot of companies currently focusing, but there are plant diseases that doesn't have a solution even today. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, for aracanate, they were using a fungicide that was 200-year-old, literally 200-year-old fungicide called Bordeaux mixture that they would spray. And it was not even identified for aracanate. It was used for grapes, and they have been using this for quite a long time. There was no other solutions. So we target these diseases that doesn't even have a active solution marketed by current players in the market.
Thanks, Kushal, and thanks, Raj. Anybody else wants to ask anything or any suggestions for Vinod?
My question for Vinod might be, excuse me. What kinds of takeaways did you get from this session, or what do you think are your the biggest learnings that you've had here? Or maybe one or two things that you might follow up on after the call.
So the first thing that I would follow up on is what Tatsa was mentioning, that was regarding how we should look for other revenue channels other than what we are doing. That was also Kushal mentioned. That is, the dealers. What you mentioned is really true, because we can't actually get in with start working with the dealers and traditional channel that currently the other players are doing, because it's quite a large syndicate that's hard to crack. So first thing is we'll be looking for other revenue channels that we need to work on, the other revenue channels to identify. And second thing is to make a communication strategy to communicate with farmers and let them know what we actually are, what we are doing, without any of the technical jargons that I usually use. And as they mentioned, I'd also like to cater to other crops other than what we are currently doing, the vegetables and fruits, and we are currently actually working on that. Till now, the testings that we were doing was crop specific. We would do field trials on specific, but now we are working on another scale, considering that is, we are working on a genetic level where we are trying to understand how product genetically influences the plant, so that one trial can be applied for different crops. We can get clearance to use this product for different crops.
I think hearing that, Summer, was really instrumental for me. And I'd wondered, I had a couple of things to add to that then. This is a yes or no question. On our previous webinars, we had the representative from Samunati. Have you guys been reaching out to FPOs at all as one of your channels?
Yes, the dealers, the current dealers that we work with are all FPOs and pharma cooperatives, and also Samunati. I have reached out for Samunati as well.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure that dealers meant FPOs. Sorry, that's just me not understanding. I'm in America here. And then my other one was, I was wondering what the size of your sales force currently is on your team. Like how many sales and marketing professionals do you have on your team? And the reason I was asking is, it seems like, you might, a lot of tech businesses, just as far as Silicon Valley goes, they get a lot of funding and they actually spend it on sales and marketing to get the word out there, to get everything out there. And I was wondering if you've done an ROI, like for every sales professional, how much revenue and profit can they achieve for you if they hit their reasonable goals? So that's kind of like two ideas in one, which is how big is your sales team? And have you done an ROI on each additional salesperson?
So our sales team is currently only 4 people strong. And the ROI that you mentioned, that we're currently working with HR consultants to create a KPIs that would, as you mentioned, creating the right KPI that they can achieve as well as get us ROI that would balance the entire company, right? So we're currently working on that. We currently don't have an exact value, but we are working on that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work for 4 people on your sales team. Congratulations. Those are my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda. Vinod, do you have any questions?
No, I think that's I received a lot of comments, feedbacks today, so I was just going through all that. I have written it down, so I guess it has been really useful for me. And I would get questions, not now, but I would get questions once I start working all this feedback. So I'll be reaching out to each of you once I get those questions. Thank you so much.
Sure. And also I'm pasting the feedback form link where some of us have provided our inputs and also captured some notes from the entire conversation. So I think you also summed it up when Amanda asked you, what are the important things that you need to be looking at right now. One is, of course, penetration into the market. What is your value proposition? And second, developing a more strong communication strategy in order to reach the right people. And third, like for your pitch deck, keep your language simple and don't use jargon. Customize it for your target audience. And I think those were the major ones. Amanda, anything I missed out on? Did you want to? Okay. So I think we're right on time as well. And thank you all for joining. Special thanks to Mr. Raj, Kushal, and Rebecca for being partners with the Land Accelerator to support our entrepreneurs. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we'll be sending a follow-up email to you, Vinod, and also to the other folks who were here earlier today, to Deepak and his partner. So check out for that. It'll have the recording and the feedback notes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good night.
Thank you.